Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, August 28th. We have a major Hurricane Franklin on the weather maps this morning out over the Atlantic Ocean, and another system, Tropical Storm Idalia, that looks like it very likely could become a major hurricane just before it makes landfall across western Florida, probably late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. Here's the latest visible satellite imagery loop of both systems right here. A very well-defined eye right in this region associated with, again, major Hurricane Franklin. It is a Category 3 storm system right now with maximum sustained winds of 115 miles per hour. It'll slide up to the north and east, just to the northwest of Bermuda, and then likely out over the open waters of the North Atlantic. It will become increasingly influenced by an upper level trough over the northeast U.S. that we talked about last week that should help to sweep that out into the North Atlantic. Meanwhile, here we have the formation of Tropical Storm Idalia as it exists right now here on Monday morning. It will intensify as it slides northward into the eastern Gulf of Mexico over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Very likely reach major hurricane status by the time it makes landfall, perhaps somewhere right around here, the western part of Florida, maybe around the Big Bend region, just to the north of Tampa, let's say between Tampa and Big Bend region. Right in this area right here, looks like likely landfall, perhaps as a Category 3 hurricane late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning, and then it continues to slide to the north and east off the Carolina coastline. There is some current concern that I have for later in the week, because mentioned a moment ago that upper level trough system helps Franklin push out into the North Atlantic. Well, that same trough system kind of tends to leave this system, Idalia, behind, and it may meander off the coast right in this region here later in the week, potentially resulting in some very strong winds as far to the north as, let's say, southeastern Virginia, the Delmarva Peninsula. Something we'll have to closely monitor over the next few days. Anytime a tropical system meanders, you have to be concerned. And again, that upper level trough may very well leave it behind after it pushes off to the north and east by the middle part of this upcoming week. Well, here's the latest official positioning by NOAA's National Hurricane Center. Again, right here, Franklin, a major hurricane, a Category 3 hurricane. This is a little dot right here is the island of Bermuda. It looks like it'll stay to its west and move in fashion like this, then get influenced by that upper level trough that sweeps through the northeast U.S. later in the week and continues to move out into the open waters of the North Atlantic. Meanwhile, Idalia probably strengthens right here into major hurricane status before making landfall, probably somewhere right around this region, let's say late tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning, and then we'll continue to slide to the north and east to off the mid-Atlantic coast, off the Carolina coastline here. And once this trough moves out, it tends to leave this system behind during the midweek or latter part of the week, and it could meander for a while right in this region right here, and that could result in some strong winds between very strong high pressure to the north and this tropical system. Strong winds are a possibility places like Virginia Beach, Delmarva Peninsula, around the Thursday time frame, depending on exactly where this system ends up. Something we'll have to closely monitor over the next few days. Well, let's take a look at last night's 0Z run of the GFS. We're looking at 500 millibar height anomalies across North America as a whole. Here's the reflection at 500 millibars of major Hurricane Franklin, and here is the reflection at 500 millibars of Tropical Storm Idalia. By the way, its sustained winds now are about 65 miles per hour, so not far away from being classified as a hurricane. Now let's push forward here over the next couple of days. And first of all, Franklin kind of moves to the northwest for a little while and then starts to curve to the north and east. Idalia by midday tomorrow, well out over into the open waters of the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and will be undergoing intensification at this time. Meanwhile, we have a pretty impressive upper level trough here approaching the northeastern part of the nation. And here we go now, by the time we get to late tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning, again, possible landfall as a major hurricane by Idalia, anywhere north of Tampa to the Big Bend region of western Florida. Meanwhile, Franklin starts its curve to the north and east, being influenced right here by that upper level trough. Again, we talked about this system playing an important role as early as last week for helping to push Franklin out in this direction, and indeed it will do that, but it will also leave this kind of behind, and that poses potential problems later in the week for at least the southern part of the mid-Atlantic. Let's continue to move forward here, clear the deck here and move forward here. Here we go now into the day on late Wednesday night time frame. Here's reflection of 500 millibars of Idalia at this particular time, Wednesday night. Franklin starting its push, influenced by this upper level trough here out to the North Atlantic. And then we go into the day on Thursday again. The main upper level trough starting to pull away here to the north and east, and also helping to steer Franklin out to the open waters of the North Atlantic. Meanwhile, left behind right here, in a sense, left behind is what remains at this time by Thursday morning of Idalia. And now let's keep moving forward here in time, and here we go into the day on Friday, right here Friday morning. Look at this little reflection still showing up here just off the mid-Atlantic coastline. Again, that trough is long gone by this time. High pressure ridging starting to even build in. So this is why this is a system that just may meander for a couple of days later this week and just off the mid-Atlantic coastline. Something we'll have to monitor over the next few days as it's left behind by that same trough that helps to push Franklin out into the North Atlantic. Now let's take a look at the continental U.S., the forecast maps from the zero-Z conventional version, operational version of the GFS from last night. Here's Franklin, again, a Category 3 major hurricane right now with maximum sustained winds 115 miles per hour. And here's Idalia just about to squeeze through into the Gulf of Mexico region as we move forward here. By the way, a little bit unsettled up across the northeastern states. Nothing serious in terms of rainfall. Comfortable temperatures for this time of the year. And here we go into the day on Tuesday. Idalia makes its entrance into the southeastern Gulf of Mexico and starts to undergo some intensification. We know that the waters are quite warm this time of the year over the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Here's Franklin starting to make a turn to the north and east to the west of Bermuda during the day on Tuesday. Let's continue to move forward here. By tomorrow night, this system starts to close in on the Big Bend region of Florida, Tampa, right here, starting to get under the influence of strong winds on the eastern side of what could end up being a major hurricane, and perhaps a Category 3 hurricane by the time it makes landfall late tomorrow night, early Wednesday morning, right in the western part of Florida, the Big Bend region. Meanwhile, Franklin gets pushed away, and you can see up across the northeast, cool frontal system associated with that upper level trough causes some decent rainfall, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. This is the same system aloft that will help to steer Franklin out into the North Atlantic and leave Idalia behind. Here we go now into Wednesday, midweek here, and here we go. The system will undergo some weakening, certainly as it crosses over land into Georgia, into the southern part of South Carolina. This is now by Thursday morning, and high pressure to the north, building into the northeastern part of the nation. There'll be quite a pressure gradient setting up between this high pressure area to the north and what remains of Idalia at this particular time. Now let's move a little bit forward here into the late night on Thursday night time frame. And notice here what's showing up here is decent pressure gradient again. And you could have strong winds at this particular time. Places like Virginia Beach, Delmarva Peninsula, maybe even as far north as southern New Jersey, with what remains of Idalia and high pressure to the north. That's a pretty strong high, so there will be a decent pressure gradient. And here we go all the way into the day on Friday. And again, this system very well could meander for a couple of days, could continue to throw some strong winds as far to the north and east as southeastern Virginia, the Delmarva Peninsula, all the way into the end of the work week here. We're talking about Friday night. Again, the system tends to meander and all the way into Saturday, sitting off the Carolina coastline with high pressure in control over the northeastern states, but we'll see. The winds could still be a factor across southeastern Virginia, Delmarva Peninsula. So certainly looks like we'll have a busy time period over the next several days. Franklin stays out over the waters of the Atlantic Ocean, a major hurricane right now, bypasses Bermuda to its north and west, out into the open waters of the North Atlantic. Idalia, unfortunately, looks like it'll reach major hurricane status by the time it makes landfall western side of Florida late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, somewhere north of Tampa in the Big Bend, potentially in the Big Bend region of Florida, and then it may slowly move up to the Carolina coastline and meander for a couple of days, potentially causing some strong winds as far north as the southern mid-Atlantic. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.